Meeting. Let me start that again. It's 3 o'clock. It's time to call a meeting to order of the regular board meeting for the Board of Directors, Mission Springs Water District. And could you stand and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Place your hand over your heart. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lori, could we have a roll call, please?
Director Meyerhoffen. Director Duff.
Present.
Director Griffith.
Present.
Vice President Sewell.
Here.
President Martin.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Okay. I think we'll skip the rules of procedure today. I think we had it on
All of this
on
stuff.
Thursday. Public input. This is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board matters within the board's jurisdiction. Please limit comments to 3 minutes or less. State law prohibits the board from discussing or taking action on any items not listed on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public wishing to address the board?
President Martin, we do not.
Okay. Item 6, employee recognition, human resources report.
Thank you.
Pardon?
Yes, thank you. It's the time for our monthly human resources update. This is when I get the pleasure of introducing some of our very dedicated and talented staff. Today we have 7 individuals. We do not have any new hires, however, this January, and we have 7 anniversaries to celebrate. One significant. They represent more than 40 years of service to the district and to this wonderful community that we serve. The first, we're honoring our engineering manager, Eric Weck, who has been with the district for over 1 year. As you know, Eric is responsible for overseeing our engineering division. He coordinates the work consultants engaged in the engineering design and the district of the district's water and wastewater system, and provides oversight for the inspections for the related services. He's held similar positions in the cities of Indio, Redlands, and most recently Grand Terrace. He has more than 10 years of experience as a civil engineer, holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's of business with an emphasis in financing, and has a professional engineering license. In his short time at the district, Eric has played a critical role in developing our new water reclamation facility. And I know all of you agree with me when I say that this is a huge responsibility, one that Eric has embraced. He's a lot of fun to work with. On a personal note, Eric has really worked hard to assimilate into the MSWD team. In fact, he was a volunteer at this event, like our recent 70th anniversary celebration, and is always willing to help his co-workers in any department that wants to get the job done. And I think Mr. Brian Macy might have a few words that he might want to say about Eric.
Sure. Thank you, General Manager. Yes, I've known Eric for going back to Indio. Very excited when he was available to come work for us. He's done everything we've asked of him and more. And like our General Manager said, one of the things that he does bring to the table, in addition to his finance background and professional engineering license, he also has a willingness to be part of the team. So he's a great addition. Very lucky to have him. Eric, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, sir, I do. That'd be okay.
Yes, please do.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to take this quick second to direct my comments to the public and those watching this being live streamed. I've been here for the past year working as the engineering manager, and throughout my quarter century worth of experience working for various other agencies, managing construction projects, going into design, development, and construction, developing capital improvement programs, and preparing construction plans and specifications There are very few agencies I've been a part of that measures up to the professionalism and the sense of service as a staff at MSWD. Everyone here is a professional in what they do, everyone. And the public is very well served and represented by all of the staff that's working here. And I am very blessed to be a part of this team. I'd like to thank all of the professionals that I've dealt with over the past year. And I'd like to thank them for welcoming me here into their team. And I look forward to many more years to come. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Eric. Those are nice words, kind words. Next is Adrian Perea. And he's in Field Operations Technician 1. And he's been with the district for over a year. Adrian is a quick learner and has picked up many things in the construction and maintenance department, such as repairing and replacing service lines and water mains. He also is helping with the valve maintenance and flushing program. And you may think that that's, why would you think that's a big project? Tens of thousands of valves out there. And when we get ready if we have a leak or we need to do something, if we need to be sure those valves work, because if they don't, we have a problem. He's given us he's been given on any task in the C&M and can be trusted to complete it with very little supervision. His coworkers say he can be counted on to stay late, help fix leaks, and come in after hours to help with emergencies. Adrian has quickly become one of our go-to employees and one that we can count on to help in any situation. Here to introduce Adrian is the Field Operations Superintendent, Jeff Nutter.
Thank you, Arden. Yeah, like he was saying, for the first year of employment here, Adrian's been a huge asset to the construction and maintenance department. He's really grasped all aspects of it, from operating backhoes to making sound judgments after hours, fixing leaks, you name it. He's done it now for the first year, and that's because we can trust him to do those jobs. We send him out by himself to do valve maintenance during the day and kind of just monitor what he is doing, and was very impressed with the number of valves getting done on a daily basis, the quality of work. Everything about it was just top notch. So I'm very pleased and happy with Adrian for the first year here. He's got a huge future, and I can't wait to see what he can do next.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, we really are picking up some really, really good employees, and we're very proud of what we put together here. Next, we're gonna honor an engineering technician too, by the name of Michael Platt. And we've known Michael for quite some time. So he had quite an interview process, about 18 years, since Mike previously assisted the district as a consultant role for that period of time. He has an in-depth understanding. Michael Platt has an in-depth understanding of our system and is highly knowledgeable. He's the one we trust in his role to help us with the design and construction of our district facilities. He performs inspections for both water and sewer, in construction and otherwise. In addition, he drafts conditions of approvals and maintains and updates the district's standard drawings, as well as plan checks, proposed development projects within our service area. He knows the system as well as anybody. He's also registered and a licensed California land surveyor, which is a very, very tough test. And he's an invaluable resource for our district. Mike is very involved in the Desert Hot Springs community also, especially the Little League, and is well respected for his service. And here to introduce Mike is the engineering manager who you just heard from, Eric.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, sir. President Martin, members of the board. Mike is a vital part of the engineering department in that he is always available to perform the necessary inspections. As Arden said, he drafts multiple conditions of approval for both residential and commercial developments, and has a wealth of knowledge that serves the district as a valuable resource. Mike performs plan checks and fields multiple requests of information a day from the public. Mike brings value to the MSWD team, and we're all very happy that Mike is here at the district. As Arden said, prior to coming here full-time, Mike has served the district as a consultant for over 15 years prior to being hired on. So Mike, thank you very much for your service and your hard work. The engineering department is light years ahead because of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. That's really good. And I want to emphasize the fact that.
Mr. Wallem, your mic, please.
Oh, I apologize. I want to emphasize the fact that Michael is a part of this community. He's very well known. He's everywhere, participates. He's in Rotary, the Little League, and for that, we really thank him. Next is somebody that's a Midwestern person like me. We have something in common. That's Rita Huber, who is celebrating her 5th year at the district. And she is an accountant. She's responsible for a variety of complex accounting duties, including recording transactions, analyzing financial information, preparing financial documents, verifying banking records and reports, and preparing financial budget and statistical reports for the district. Quick-witted, I might add, and eagle-eyed, Rita is very knowledgeable and is always looking for ways to make the district and its operations more efficient and a better place. She is good, smart, and her work ethic is fantastic. And I can't say how proud I am to know Rita. And with that, we have the accounting manager, Rachel, here to provide some words.
Mr. Wallem, apologies. Nobody informed you. Rachel is not here today.
Oh, I apologize. I thought she was. Maybe Arturo would like to say a few words.
Sure. Thank you, General Manager Wallem. Rita started with us 5 years ago when we were doing the first reorganization, and we were getting pretty busy. She came in, pretty much took over the department in her duties, and has been doing a phenomenal job with reconciliations and just basically getting the district back on track with some projects, including the sewer collections on property taxes, assessment districts, financial assistance. She pretty much works with most of every other department and does a pretty good job. And we're very lucky to have her.
Thank you, Arturo.
Thank you.
Next is we're honoring a customer service rep 2, Sierra Boyle. She has worked in our customer service department for the past 6 years, building relationships with our customers and assisting them with their various needs. She has volunteered and contributed creative ideas for the past 3 years on our award-winning holiday float committee. She's always happy to provide assistance to other departments and provide support to her peers when needed. And I know April is here, and I think she would like to say a few words.
Yes, hello, General Manager Wallem and members of the board. Sierra she started just a few months after I did, and we've worked together all this time and learned and gotten to know the community. And she really does make a big effort to know our customers and seek out alternatives to assist them and find out what we can do for our customers. And she's here to serve. She does a wonderful job, and we're very happy to work with her.
Okay, thank you. Sierra is not here today, and so we're going to move on to Oriana Hufford, who basically personifies human resources. It's my honor to introduce her to you. She's been with the district for 6 years. I'm so pleased with working with her in a very difficult task that involves human resources. She's really transformed the department. Since she started with the district 6 years ago, she has reshaped our human resources processes, including the hiring and evaluation and appreciation and disciplinary programs. She's also enhanced and added new employee offerings and resources while looking out for what is best for both the employees and the district. Not only has she streamlined our process and implemented new programs, but she has also done this while navigating the district through the COVID-19 pandemic, which, was an onerous task, making sure that we adhere to the various OSHA and state protocols and mandates, which are still changing us today. Oriana holds a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's degree in human resources management with an emphasis in organizational leadership. She's also a senior certified HR professional by the Public Sector HR Association. That goes to show you how talented and educated a lot of our employees are. I can't say enough good things about Oriana and the work she has done. Oriana could not be here today because she had a doctor's appointment. So she will not be able to say anything to you, but if she could, she would thank you so much for giving her the opportunity to work with this organization. That moves me on to another person that has been here about the same time I got here, and that's Chris Jacobson, wastewater treatment plant operator 2. He's been with the district over 19 years. He's a valuable member of the wastewater department. He has shown tremendous leadership skills, helping mentor junior operators, providing training to other operators, and helping them improve their skills. Very giving and wonderful person. He routinely provides feedback for the day-to-day operations at the plant, and I have been told he has the experience with almost every job at the plant. Chris never says no when there's a job to be done. Earlier this month at the 70th anniversary, he manned the popcorn booth, I think, with Director Duff. And he was there during the entire event and helped with the setup and takedown of the tables and chairs. This is nothing new for Chris. He's routinely going out of his way to help the coworkers, no matter what task. And I think Lee is here today I did see him a little earlier. There he is. And he can provide a few words.
Thank you, General Manager. Good afternoon, President Martin, members of the board. Yeah, Chris and I, we've worked together his whole time he's been here. We worked side by side, and then when I was promoted, I promoted him to my lead operator. He did that for a while, and then he decided to take a step back and just focus on being an operator instead of helping me run the department. But he's a great person to have on staff. I can rely on him to do just about anything here on the plant, and give him a task and he'll go do it. And he even goes out and does stuff that I don't tell him to do, but just to help make the plant look a better place to be. You could spend a day shoveling sand at the plant because of all the wind, or you could be doing lab or running the belt press. Just about anything at the plant, Chris is able to do, and I appreciate having him here on staff. Unfortunately, he is out today. He's at a doctor's appointment also, so he and Oriana must be together.
Must be.
Yeah.
That concludes the HR report today.
Very much.
Yeah, and I just want to comment that I concur what has earlier been said in terms of the quality of the people that work here. And I've often said that our little motto about protecting our most valuable resource, water. Well, in my view, the most important resource that we have available are the people that work here that provide that service to the community. So job well done. Okay.
President Martin,
Yes, go
I
ahead.
would like to say a few words here about, I met Eric at the city council meeting. And I was wondering, what's he doing here? And got up there, answered some questions concerning the project, and very knowledgeable. And when like all of the engineers here, that when I asked him a question, I got 4 answers to the one question. And I really appreciate that. I honestly do. Sometimes it gets a little long, but I appreciate that because I learned something there. So Eric did a wonderful job there. And Mr. Plack, is he with us still or? He's, anyways,
Flat, yeah.
yeah. I've known him for quite some time. In fact, we have a mutual friend over in Palm Springs that has told me that he really won't do any surveying on his properties unless Mitchell can be there. 20 years ago, there was a problem with the city of fire hydrant. And Eric, when you speak to Mr. Platt there, he may remember the fire hydrant incidents over there on Cactus and First Street. The city was trying to figure out how they were going to correct it to move it for a handicap access on the sidewalk. And he went over there, looked at it, and within 5 minutes, he says, just put an extension and move it over. So his knowledge and reputation is outstanding, and we are very lucky to have him with us. Thank you.
And he loves his community.
Yes, he does.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding the staff recognition? Okay. All right, moving on to item 7, resolution 2023-03. Resolution of the Board of Directors of the Mission Springs Water District recommending approval of a notice of exemption determination under the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines for well 22. Arden?
I have nothing further to add. We do have staff here, including Eric, who we just recognized today, to answer questions regarding
okay.
it. It's a pretty straightforward process.
Does he want to make any comments concerning?
I don't, did you have anything more you wanted to say, Eric?
No, sir.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-03.
So moved.
We have a motion by Director Griffith. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
No,
Sorry.
Okay, we got a tie for a second there. The second will be by Amber Duff. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
no,
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
okay. Moving on to item 8, approve change order number 2 with L.O. Lynch Quality Wells and Pumps Incorporated for on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services. And there's also a document that was left on the dais here. Thank you. Concerning that item. Pardon?
Yeah, I think I'll let Mr. Friend tell you what he left you today and kind of give you another background because you requested this information and
All right.
needed to get it. Danny, do you want to take it from there?
Thank you, General Manager Wallen. I'm sorry, what item are we on currently?
8.
Okay,
Well,
I just
it's
wanted to-
different.
Okay, and
because
I'm
we
sorry.
brought 7.
The reason I'm asking is I numbered them to the previous agenda. My apologies. So this is for a change order for L.O. Lynch. There was a request for the original agreement. I forget who asked for it. So I provided the original agreement as executed. I also provided change order 1. And in addition to that, I provided the breakdown of the cost of what the 400,000 originally or what the change order and the second request that we're requesting today makes up. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Any
Open for questions, I think.
any questions from the board? Ted?
could you please explain the chemical rehabilitation part of this?
Explain the process.
No, why? There was another word in here that, in the beginning, if there's a chemical rehabilitation, where did the contamination come from? Is it contamination? Why is there a rehabilitation of some kind of chemical?
Okay, I can easily answer. I just wanted to make sure I understood the context of the question. So the well itself was being recommended to have a chemical rehabilitation, which is an aggressive rehabilitation based on the video that went downhole, and based on either biofilming or based on the clogging of the perforations in the casing. A typical entry level is the brush and bail. Like sometimes they use a nylon brush, and then they'll get into an aggressive brush and bail where they get into a stainless steel or other types of material brushes. And when those don't work, you go into a higher level or a more aggressive level where you use a chemical acid to break down any formations on the perforations, so that when you're done and you're developing the well, the water will go back through almost as it did when it was brand new. Did I answer that question clearly for you?
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with any groundwater contamination or anything like that, then it's,
Groundwater contamination, absolutely not.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
That the wells, after so much use, need to be rehabilitated.
Me
That's the
too.
only thing I can tell you.
Anything further?
I don't have anything more. Are there more questions?
Any more questions, Ivan? No. Robert? Amber? Nothing? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the general manager to approve change order number 2 with LO Lynch Quality Wells and Pumps Incorporated for the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contract. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the item.
Okay, do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes,
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Moving on to item 9, award of contract with Denali Water Solutions LLC for hauling of subclass B biosolids grit and screening offsite. Pardon, anything further on that issue?
Well, no, I'm gonna let Danny again, who got some additional information for you and background, because we didn't have some of this when we talked to you on Thursday. And so, Danny, do you want to take it from there?
Certainly, General Manager Wall. My apologies, President Martin. I didn't say good afternoon earlier on that earlier item. I was confused on the agenda order. Good afternoon, President Martin, members of the board. What was requested as of last Thursday was the item F. There was the scope of services section J, and it was the what do you call it? The spill response. So we received that. We're still reviewing it. Cursory review shows that there's no burden on the district as far as what would happen if there were a spill. But again, the way it's written is we'll receive that and review it before we execute the contract. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay. Moving down to my left, Director Duff.
So on Thursday, when we spoke about this, I had asked if there was more information about the ecology auto parts portion and if we knew what their bid came in at in comparison to the 500,000. Were you able to get me that information?
I didn't ask exactly what the bid amount was or the proposal amount. I do understand that it was lower than what Denali Water Solutions have proposed on.
Okay. In the future, I would really appreciate being provided the staff questionnaire or scoring sheets, worksheets that you guys use to score the bidders. And I would like to see the cost of the finalists, the actual proposed expense from all the finalists that you guys review, as well as the one you're presenting as a recommendation, just so that I have all the data to be able to make a justified decision on issues similar to these contracts.
Understood. As far as providing the worksheets, that's a pretty clear request. We do have those on record. As far as this project being, the process being an RFP process, which was not completely based on cost, we didn't open all bids. customarily you don't open all the bids unless for those are the ones that you're providing to. The reason I understand that there's a cost provided because it was part of the actual proposal when submitted, but separated from the actual selection committee. So there was nothing based on cost or no influence. So I'll have to defer that for future for legal to provide the best direction on that.
I did do a little research over the weekend and looked at previous other boards that hold similar meetings, City Council of Desert Hot Springs, et cetera. They do provide the bidders that respond that you guys evaluate in the score. They are providing the board or the council members with the actual cost bid for the top 3 finalists, or in this case, the 2 people that were reviewed and scored. And it seems to be pretty customary. So I would hope that legal can sign off on that for the next time this comes up. I do agree with the staff's recommendation that Denali Water does seem to be the most appropriate contractor for this, but I just would like to address how these are presented to the board and have a little more information provided up front so that we can answer our own questions to some degree by being able to review those things. Thank you very much for all your work.
You're very welcome. I will follow up with the general manager and legal to get that response back, because we do so on competitive bid process. We do provide all the costs. So thank you.
Robert?
I just a question, because I know we've got stuff building up. Should this pass, it could be approved, and the contract is executed, how soon will they be here to start hauling?
Director Griffith, I don't have that answer exactly. I know that currently we're trying to expedite the process and work through insurance documentation. I don't have the exact answer. I know that staff is working on this to get something expedited as soon as possible. It may be as early as the end of this week or Friday if the board approves.
Yeah.
Actually, let me. I just got to receive the text message, and within 30 days is when this will be starting.
Okay, so within 30 days, and how much storage do we have? I'm just kind of curious because we had kind of gone over that, and I thought that we only had about a month's worth. That's right. The other organization is still working with us so we don't have a backup. Is that correct?
So currently we are no longer working with the previous hauler, Western Express Transport. We are currently putting our solids, into our asphalt beds. They're contained. If there were to have any liquids on them, the liquid will go back to our headworks. Surface area wise, I don't have the answer. If I may, Lee Boyer, are you on the call still?
I am.
Can I defer this question to you if you know the answer?
Yes. Good afternoon again, Director Griffith. To answer your question, we currently have used about 1 full bed of our asphalt line beds. And we actually have another 10 beds that we could store sludge in. We are monitoring for odors and flies on a daily basis throughout the day. Our goal is once the contract's executed and I have equipment here, that I will be able to actually move all that out of the beds and get it offsite as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't want to have an overflow situation. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, we used to use those to dry our sludge until, so we're very much within our capacity. We can handle it until we get this 30-day.
Okay. Director Meyerhoffen.
Yes, Danny, when did the bidding process close for this?
I apologize. I don't have that answer in front of me. So let me go back to.
Danny, if I may, it's actually
please.
part of the staff report. It's November.
That's when they began evaluating the proposal.
November 14th.
That's when they began evaluating. When did so that's when the date closed for everybody to turn their proposals in. So we're looking here at an RFP, right? Request for a proposal. And that's why when I look here at the cost proposal, that, and I know you gave me some extra paperwork here on this, but I don't see it in there. And is any representative from the company here today?
No.
See, that concerns me. We do this on a job type of basis. Here we are talking about a total over the first 5 years would be somewhere around $2.5 million and no representative even here. But I don't understand that part of it. So here on this cost proposal, we have here at $6.19 per gallon for fuel. And yes, I agree with the 5.5 miles per gallon is what the vehicle will get. Brian, that's on page 34. So then they talk here later on about the how many miles per trip, but we don't know where it's going to. And today's price of diesel is somewhere for California, somewhere around $5 or so. So if we're being charged, see, this is why this is a proposal. So if this, my next concern now is, if this is a proposal, and my question is going to be towards legal counsel here now. If this is an actual proposal, is why we don't have the final details of the contract here in front of us as the cost breakdown. We even talk here about on page 34, there what would they call it? A yard goat. We're not going to need a yard goat out there, are we? We're not moving a yard goat for directors who don't know what a yard goat is. That's a piece of equipment. It has a big diesel motor in it, and it moves the trailers around in the yard or over to the loading docks. So we're not going to be storing trailers there. So why do we have a yard goat in there? That's part of their cost on their end of it. So once again, if this is a proposal, if we don't have the final contract, we approve it and then things can be changed. We need to know what the actual costs are, because if it's $6.19 for today, 5 years from now, it could be $10 and there may be a shortage of diesel. So my question for the council here is, we're looking at a proposal, but we're not looking at the other companies that turned their proposals in. So we are basically saying, hey, we don't care about you. In other words, can we be opened up for litigation in the future because we're not giving them the same consideration to come before the board?
Mr. Meyerhoff, and I don't believe there is a threat of litigation here. So the process that was used was an RFP process, and an RFP process is designed to cover instances where the quality of the service is an issue and other aspects as well, in addition to just price. You know, a public bidding process that you would use for a public works contract, for example, if you were to build a wastewater treatment plant, is focused entirely on the cost, as long as you have a responsive and a responsible bidder. An RFP is what you would use for an engineer or an attorney, or in this case, hauling of biosolids, because you're concerned about the reputation and the quality more than you are with the price. And so there's obviously a scoring sheet. I don't have it here in front of me, as one of the directors pointed out, but this Denali scored the highest, so they were chosen. They submitted a proposal. It's an RFP. So in response to an RFP, the proponent offers a proposal. Now you have a contract here as well in your package, agreement for professional services, Mission Springs Water District. And it's between the district and Denali Water Solutions LLC. Title is hauling of subclass B biosolids, grit, and screening off-site. Contract price not to exceed $500,000 a year. And then you have all of the contract provisions, including the insurance requirements, which are in this contract document that runs to, how many pages? 5 pages with an exhibit A. Okay. And then the proposal is attached to the contract. It's an exhibit to the contract. So the proposal, yeah, it's just a proposal when they submit it. But once this agreement for professional services is signed, the proposal becomes a binding contract essentially. And so, all the proposers had their opportunity to submit proposals. They were evaluated at the staff level, which is what the process called for. Now you have a legally binding contract here. The proposal, again, will become part of that legally binding contract, and it's your opportunity tonight to vote on that to determine whether you want to approve it.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
a roundabout way, yes, sir.
Well, I didn't mean to be indirect.
That's okay.
I'm trying to,
So my question now, sir, is when does a request for the proposal? I mean, when do the actual numbers, when do we see the actual numbers of what's going on here? Because we just have proposal numbers. What I'm reading here as part of this proposal, like I'm saying, isn't making sense to me. We don't even, where they hauling it to? And there's some things here that is a proposal, but it's not the actual cost of the operating cost of what they're doing.
well, I mean, think about a contract with an attorney, for example. You enter into a contract with an attorney. This is for services. Remember, they're hauling
Right?
waste. And so there's a methodology for determining the cost of the services in the proposal, just as there would be in an attorney service agreement. And then you receive a bill periodically for the services based on the quantity that was hauled and the time. I mean, I don't know all the metrics, but the time that was spent, the volume of the waste and so forth.
Well, go ahead.
No, I think Bob's answer was spot on. It's a
Yeah.
proposal that becomes part of the contract, and these are the prices that we will receive.
And when,
We needed something to evaluate, so we asked from pricing proposals from both contractors that we actually asked for anyone that wanted to respond that was qualified. We only received 2 people that put in proposals. So we evaluated those 2. Why cost is a big concern of us, get us
Yes.
absolutely correct. We're nervous about how much we spend on everything we do, especially when you're talking about the numbers involved with this. But one of the reasons that we did it as a request for proposal is because we also want to look at the organization. The previous contract we had, a great organization, but it was a family-owned business. And when the father they're no longer there, that's when they sent the letter to us saying, we won't be able to support you. So we could have gone out as just a price proposal as a service, but we wanted to make sure that there was longevity there, that we had a level of confidence that they knew what they were doing. So this was a little bit more thorough than I think we've done in the past, and rightfully so. And you talk about they have 8 years of experience. In here is an organizational chart of their company and things of that nature. So yes, as Bob was talking about, this cost proposal, as it's a cost proposal now, does turn into a contract. Now, we will continue to go through over a period of time and negotiate pricing as necessary. That's in any contract, not to mention, and I apologize that the Exhibit C, which is the termination clause, which is on 30 days on both of us, that gives us the flexibility to negotiate these things. Any negotiation that we do that changes this, we will work with our attorney and then bring it to the board for final approval. So from that perspective, this has been very well vetted, and it's been a little bit more, I would consider a little bit more thorough than we've done in the past, because we had someone send us say, hey, we've got 6 months and we have to find somebody else. So we wanted to make sure we didn't have to do that again.
All right. It just seems like without any representative being here, it's almost like our staff is representing the company at this point.
well,
Where are we drawing a fine line with MSWD representing this company or another company in the future?
Well,
But
the proposal speaks for itself. I mean, it may, in some instances, you'll have arrangements like this where somebody will show up, particularly, if staff asks them to. That's not the case. Obviously, we can't have them come here on such short notice. But, in terms of the terms of the contract, they're all here for us to review.
okay, I just, it's not my money, it's our customers' money. And I got a lot of concern when it comes to spending this kind of money. And I kind of look at it sometimes, you know, the deal has to be good for the contractor and has to be a good deal for us. You know, both parties have to get up from the table happy if it's a good deal. So,
And that's a good point that Ted makes. However, I may say that the thing that's, I guess, more comprehensive, this process is more comprehensive than it's been in the past. We just went out and said, take our sludge and do with it, then we're responsible. We're making sure that that sludge, we can't tell them where to take it, but that sludge has to be taken to a landfill that meets the rules and regulations for landfills. And this gives us that more comprehensive control over that.
Yeah, I think that's why an RFP was done, because obviously when you're dealing with this type of sludge, you're concerned that it's being properly disposed of by a good contractor. And so they were looking at more than just the price. They were looking at issues that you would refer to as responsibility in a bidding context.
so an RFP or QFP or any kind of contract that any company asks for, you can still do that same due diligence in looking at the company that's turning in the proposal, no matter how the wording is.
In a public contracting context, that's not exactly correct, because the standard there is that the contractor be quote unquote responsible. And the bid in a public contracting context must be from responsive and from a responsible bidder. And the threshold for responsibility is not a very high threshold. So what you're doing here with an RFP process is you're giving yourself the ability to evaluate the reputation and the quality of the service more so than you would in a typical bidding type process.
Okay. And my thinking too is if I owned a company and I was looking at a $2.5 million contract, I'd spend $1,000 to have one of my guys come and say hello. So that's, I kind of think of this as how I would do the process, whose money it is. You know, hopefully we get a good deal out of this. So these are why I'm asking all these questions. So I think they've all been asked. Thank you.
But we may not be a big sludge contributor to them. I don't know.
Okay, moving on, I'll entertain a motion to award the contract with Denali Water Solutions LLC for hauling of subclass B biosolids, grit, and screening off-site. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
No.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 10 was addressed on Thursday with the appointment of board member Amber Duff to the position of Planning Commission Observer. We'll move on to the discussion items, item 11.
President Martin, the
Yes.
affiliation list needs to be approved by the board.
I'm sorry,
The affiliation list needs to be reapproved by the board.
the appointment needs to be approved by the board?
Well, it reconfirms the affiliation list, which is board approved.
Okay, all right, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the affiliation list.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
President Martin.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
okay.
This,
Moving on to item 11, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility update. We had a presentation by Mr. Ledbetter on Thursday. The only thing left is the possibility of renaming the facility. And I was struck during our anniversary thing on there that when we were talking about the Horton plant, that the the Horton plant was named after a director who served 12 years and fought hard to get the plant built. And I thought that was quite an honor to bestow on somebody after 12 years of service. We presently have had a board member who spent 34 years representing the interests of our customers, our ratepayers, who did an outstanding job. Was on the State Water Resources Control Board, was appointed by 3 different governors to be on that. That's on the Colorado River Basin section. Appointed by 3 different governors to that position. She was also a member of LAFCO, and I believe at one point she was president of the LAFCO board as well. So she has done a lot to serve the community, and for that reason, I would like to make a motion on the renaming of the facility from the Mission Springs Water District Water Reclamation Facility to the Nancy Wright Water Reclamation Facility. If I have a second, then we can move on to further discussion. Do I have a second on that motion?
I would second.
Okay, is there any discussion following this? Director Meyerhoff?
This kind of comes as a surprise all of a sudden. You know, I like Nancy Wright. I don't have any feelings towards her. We've always gotten along okay. But this isn't just something that should be decided so quickly. We should have other names that we should be looking at. Perhaps even have some public participation so that they feel like they're a part of what's going on. They're going to have to have the name for years to come. So I think we should slow down, take some time, get together with our Public Works Department and see how we can figure out the proper process to come up with a name.
Okay. Director Sewell, Vice President Sewell, excuse me.
I definitely think Nancy's well deserving, and to try and make a list of who we would name the plan after, I think it would be hard to say she wouldn't be at the top of it. So I would be fine with the name change.
Okay. Director Duff.
No comment.
Okay, Director Griffith.
I do want to make two comments. One, we were asked on Thursday to consider names, so that was requested of us. I don't know, maybe you missed that part, but you left out the regional part. Will it still be considered the regional plan, or was that just an oversight on your part?
Oh, it's probably an oversight, just renaming it as opposed to the Mission Springs Water District to changing it to the Nancy Wright Water District.
Okay, I just want to be clear so that we're talking about moving that.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
that's all I have.
Okay, as I have a motion and a second, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
Abstain.
Director Duff,
Sure, yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. You'll reach out to Nancy and advise her of the vote if she isn't watching.
Excellent.
Okay, all right. Discussion items. Moving on to item 12, Critical Services Center and Administration Building Update. Anything further on that?
I'll let Brian say something. I don't think we have anything that we can report new much.
No, thank you, President Martin. Right now, we're working with the city to work through the CEQA process. I think we reported that at our last meeting. The CEQA process is no easy process to get through, but we are working with the city to make sure that we do what is requested of us. It looks like we may have to go in front of the Planning Commission, possibly City Council, to go through a conditional use permit, but we're working through that with the city to make sure that we provide all the additional information they're asking for. with that being said, we're also looking to plan a date to go to East Valley. So some of the newer board members can look at the building that we sort of emulated. So we're going to be working with that in the next couple of weeks and things of that nature. But it's right now, if there's any questions or comments about the building that I'm not addressing, please let us know. But I think after we go to East Valley, if you do have a chance to go to that particular tour, you'll see what we've been talking about in addition to what we saw at Palm Springs Unified, and you may have additional questions. So with that being said, I'll work with Dory to get on your calendars and try to find a convenient date to go to the East Valley building.
As an inspiration to our facility, I was much more impressed with East Valley than I was with the school district facility down there.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah, I was very impressed with it.
So, excuse me, this is still needs to go before the planning commission. Did we ever vote on the location? The past board members vote on the location? Because I can think of a few reasons why the planning commission may not be so happy with it there, but
Well, but we had to make a decision, I guess, to
before we went to the city to find out if
Let me add some
their general-
clarification. We've been working with the city at this location for the last year and a half. When we met with them in December, we were talking about how we were going to go through the process and what was necessary. At that particular time, it was go ahead and submit your plans. We gave them our stormwater calculations and things like that. That's where it was at that time. And the reason was is because particularly the water code allows us to do certain things as a water district. The way we were interpreting the information, the way they were interpreting the information, some of the processes that most developers would go through wouldn't necessarily apply to a water district. However, in working with the city, they then said, well, in reality, let's go ahead and do that. So we haven't necessarily changed gears. We were always trying to work within the requirements of the city, making sure that we were within the zoning and things of that nature. It's just now a little bit formal process, and we've been working with the city throughout. It's just recently where they've said, now you have to go through a little bit more of a arduous process from our perspective than what we thought we were. So from that perspective, it's not that we haven't been working with the city and not working with them to make sure that we're meeting all of their qualifications. We're just now having to go through a little bit more formalized process, which is okay. We're a partner with the city. We're not trying to do something that they don't feel comfortable with and have never, and that was been a location for a admin building back in all the way, I think, to 2008. So the fact this isn't something that the city is seeing for the first time. This is something that's been discussed with them going back multiple years, if not decades.
Okay.
all right.
Yes.
A conditional use permit is needed. I feel we should have got the conditional use permit before we spent all that money on the plans, because now if we don't get the conditional use permit, and in 2008, I believe the zoning was a little bit different. Since then, the zoning, the marijuana and different things have come along. I know Robert may want to elaborate and contradict what I'm saying, because he was also a planning commissioner, so maybe I'm not really getting it right, but
Well, I don't want to get totally off topic. As far as a CUP, a lot of times when you have a CUP, they want to see your plans and everything else. If you remember, we used to have the multiple pages to read for our meetings, and they would typically have multiple plans. You would have the plot, you would have the street plans, you would have the architectural plans, you would have the landscape plans, all that stuff. So you kind of can't do a CUP unless you invest the time and the money to do the planning itself. So I don't know that that's right now. I think they're at the point they need to be. I know that there is architectural work being involved, but yeah, in order to do a CUP extension is a different story. It's just, hey, we ran out of time. But when you're actually doing a regular CUP, that most of those plans, and I know you probably should remember this, some of them were 100 and 200 and 300 pages that we would get on a Thursday and not have time before Friday, because it had all the plans of the project itself.
I remember when it was 900 pages, but I also remember CUPs coming up there that was just 3 or 4 pages, and the approval was the project was going to go at this location. It wasn't so much what's inside of the building or how the building was going to be designed. It was just a generic drawing on the computer. And this is what we think, it's going to look like. And then we could approve that we approved the CUPs on that also. I guess if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm opposed to where the building is going. And if you ever want to take time with me to find out why, let me know.
Director Sewell,
No comment.
Director Duff.
Just one, actually. The Critical Services Center is part of the Regional Water Reclamation Facility on those grounds, or there's a separate building being built there for staff?
The building at the regional facility is actually just for the wastewater staff, the control room to operate that plant. There's lockers and things of that nature, but it's specifically for that location.
What are we calling it? The building there?
I don't know that we've given it a title. I know we referenced it before as an administrative building,
Okay.
but that administrative building serves more than that purpose. It also has chemical storage. It also has blowers in it. I believe there's some things in that building that and I know when the question came up, and I think you caught on to it very quickly, that we use the term administrative building, which is consistent to what we've done at what I would consider our operations and admin, or the CSC that we're talking about. So you're absolutely, you caught on that. And I think they meant to take it back as soon as they said it because we apologize for that.
I got emails and phone calls going, wait, I thought that the administrative building wasn't approved yet. And because they get sometimes briefed at the same time, it becomes a little confusing to the public. And for some reason, I got confused and was thinking the Critical Services Center was what was at the plant. So the Critical Service Center and the administrative building are what we are only in the planning department right now. We have not approved moving forward. It's just with the architects, correct?
Absolutely.
And we can make sure moving forward, for the public's sake and for the newbies, myself included, that we keep that administrative office title or building title just for that, and try and use something else for the plant.
We will make sure to clarify that.
Thank you.
No, and that,
Well, sorry.
no, like I said, as soon as it came up, we saw you, and you're absolutely right. We used the wrong terminology at that building or at that location. So it's two completely different things.
Mr. Wallam, your mic, please.
Why don't you leave the mic on and you don't have to keep turning it on or off? On.
Okay.
To address Director Meyerhoff's concern on there too, the plans, as I recall, even if bizarre circumstance, it wasn't approved at that location, the plans would fit another location just as easily. It wouldn't have to be at that location in order for the plans to be.
Might be some.
I agree, and our general manager is absolutely correct. You would have to have some modifications with your footing and flood control and that kind of thing. So yeah, it would add some extra cost to it.
Right. Anything further? Any further additional questions on that item? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have 3 items on the consent agenda: the minutes from January 10th, January 12th, and January 17th. And we have the register of demands totaling $4,949,870.48. And we have an item for board compensation to authorize the board compensation for the following participation in the tour of the East Valley Water District, date to be determined. Do we want to pull any of those for a separate vote?
I would like to pull 15.
You like to pull 15? Okay. Then let's go ahead and discuss item 15. What is your comment, questions, concern?
We're going to do a tour of the East Valley. I'm not expecting to be compensated for that. I don't know that. I know that we get compensated for certain meetings that we attend, but for things like that, where we're going to look at something to maybe help us make a decision. I just don't feel comfortable in using in compensating us for that. That's a fact finding thing. And sometimes I have to do fact finding on my own at home. And I don't get compensated for that. I do the research. And so for me, I was actually a little surprised that we were even considering this. We went to PSUSD building and it was not even a topic of conversation. So when I saw this, I just thought, well, where's this coming from? So, we're going to pull this and vote on it, but I'm not inclined to vote for this.
Okay, well, the reason, of course, is you're getting paid for your time. And we're moving it down there as a group, which constitutes an actual meeting of the board to go to attend and take this tour. So that's the reason it's got compensated. But I think you make a good argument, and I don't have a problem with
I just want to say, we also have a tour on Tuesday, the March 7th, for the waste treatment plants, and that's not being considered for compensation. So that's just my thought. I don't really know how everybody else thinks, but it's not something that I would be a proponent.
I put it on there. I just thought, well, you're gonna be gone the better part of a day by the time you get done. And
So
I thought
like
that
said,
was.
you're getting paid for your time that you're taking to do that, not just. Yeah, so.
Here,
We don't care what you.
Yeah. Yeah. Ed?
I think this whole process of how we get getting paid are just completely out of whack. People are being compensated to go for a dinner and drinks at $100, and to an organization that I don't understand what even has to do with this. And then on the other hand, I was told that the board of directors here are the lowest paid in the valley. And we are. And to me, with, as old as I am, with my experience and education, it's degrading to know that this month, because I didn't go to any compensatable meetings, I'll be making after taxes somewhere around $175. I'm working for less than minimum wage. And when you folks all go to your other events that you'll be signed up for, learn about administrative and leadership, you'll be there the whole day. You're taking time off from your jobs and your businesses, and you'll be making less than minimum wage. So I think before we even vote on any of this, we need to look at the whole thing, the whole picture of what we're really doing here.
Well, unfortunately, that's not on the agenda, so we're addressing this.
There you go.
One thing that's on the agenda, so. So let's take a vote on items 13 and 14 together, and we'll vote on item 15 separately. All those in favor of the consent agenda items 13 and 14, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Director Meyerhoffen,
No.
this is for 13 and 14. The minutes and the register of demands only.
Okay. He voted not.
No? Okay.
Yeah,
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
Yes.
Vice President Sewell,
Yes.
and President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to item 15, board compensation. Authorizing the board compensation for the tour of the East Valley Water District, date to be determined. Sure.
For the tour, will our architects and things be there? Are we going to be giving input? Is it going to be more than just seeing it? It's more to discuss what we'd like to see for the building.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they will be there.
I think, it's going to be a day of us providing our input, and I see it more as a meeting than a lot of other things we're compensated for. So
Yes.
that's just my opinion.
I don't work for free either.
Yeah, so, Director Duff, do you have any comments or questions? Anything further from you, Robert?
No.
Okay.
Just curious.
With that, I'm going to call for a vote. Do we have a roll call vote, please?
I need a motion in a second,
I
President
thought we
Martin.
did that. Okay, I'm sorry.
That was on items 13 and 14.
So
You're-
we're
you're-
voting on if we're gonna get.
Just on
compensated to
15.
go to-
Just on 15.
All right,
Okay, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move that we're compensated for the participation in the tour of the East Valley Water District.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Give a roll call vote, please.
Director Meyerhoffen,
Yes.
Director Duff,
Yes.
Director Griffith,
No,
Vice President Sewell,
Yes,
and President Martin.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes.
okay. Moving on to directors' reports. I didn't do mine on Thursday. Who didn't? Did you do yours on Thursday? You want to do yours now?
sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm a little ditzy today. I actually wrote some notes and then I lost them and then I found some of them, but so I attended a CVWD meeting on February 24th, DWA on the 7th, another CVWD on February 14th, Valentine's Day, which was really interesting. I've actually spoken to President Martin about this, and I will speak to General Manager Wallem about this. They had a speaker, Don Burnett, from the Colorado River Basin Salinity Center, and he talked quite a bit about the issue with salinity in Colorado River water, which a lot of the organizations out here use for recharge. And if what people may not be aware of is that the state is really cracking down on total dissolves salts and other minerals in the water, and in order to meet state levels, those remediation of that is going to cost water districts money. Having a high salinity in the water is going to make the cost for the ratepayer overall even higher. And so I found his presentation extremely, extremely beneficial. There was some cost sharing. Just to give you an idea, so the upper Colorado River Basin, which is the areas like Utah and up, they only pay 15% of the cost sharing for the remediation issues, whereas the lower basin pays 85%. However, the majority of the salts come from the upper basin. And so there was some funding which has been stopped, and they're trying to get some more. If they don't get the funding, then the salinity is expected to increase. And so I was going to talk to General Manager Wallem, and I did talk to President Martin about having possibly having Don Burnett come here and do a presentation for us, because CVWD got this presentation, which I thought was fantastic, but a lot of the constituents in our area, they don't attend those meetings. They don't watch those meetings. And I also know that it's stuff that will be of great value to the rest of the board as well as the constituents. So that's something that I'm going to talk about, possibly having them.
Could you shoot just a brief email to Arden and myself?
I will certainly do that.
Asking for the item to be placed on. the
Yes.
agenda. Okay.
So that we can have that. And that was really the most interesting and I thought important thing of all the meetings. The DWA meetings are doing a lot of housekeeping right now. Those are my 4 items. And I did attend the Air Force Museum Gala, didn't get paid for it. But it was quite a night and had a really nice time. So that's all I have.
Director Duff.
I attended on January 25th, the San Gorgonio Pass Regional Water Alliance meeting. Very welcoming group and very informational. They had similar discussions to us about after the COVID ending and how they were going to move forward. And they're going to continue with hybrid meetings, doing both Zoom and in person, so that they can get the maximum participation from the public and from their members. They also shared with all of us that in order to keep grant money from the state in the area, the Alliance actually funded at 0% interest some of the smaller districts that were going to lose the grants because they couldn't afford to pay up front and wait for reimbursement. So they were able to maintain those grants in small areas like the city of Beaumont and some other mountain areas. And I thought that was really wonderful that they were offering that as the guardian, so to speak, that they were offering that to the community. it'd be nice to talk to our guardian and ask them why we aren't able to get the same funding support from them. And then also they were talking about the Chromium 6 update and said that, you know, their hope is still that it will come across from the state at 10 parts per billion, but that there's a huge push coming up for 5 parts per billion, and that we should be looking at what we're going to do for our wells that may have that problem. And they were sharing with everyone that there was a well in Banning that they did a really positive, sorry, pilot study on, where they generated a Stannis on site, and it removed 98% and was very, very cost effective. And they're willing to share that with anyone who asks. So we should probably check in with them soon. And then they also completed a deal with the city of Ventura, obtaining their 10,000 acre feet of state water project water for the next 20 years, which is going to increase a lot of their total annual acre feet. And they're also finalizing their plans to bring the access to that to a place where we would be able to join that state water project water, which was very exciting to get away from the salinity of the Colorado River and have that as an option in the near future. So I'll be attending the next meeting on March 22nd and look forward to that.
It's exciting, isn't it? Yeah.
East Coast, East Side Extension.
Robert?
I just did.
That's right, you did. Okay, never mind.
Apparently what I said was
Dr. Meyerhoff?
remembering.
You have anything you want to report on? Any meeting?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'll move ahead. On the 5th of January, attended Desert Valley Builders Association Legislative Forum, and there were representatives from the federal, state, tribal, and county and cities there to report, and the reports on development in each jurisdiction, including state and county municipal laws, rules, and regulations that impact that development. On the 12th, Desert Valley Board installation dinner for new board members were sworn in at the meeting. On the 19th, countywide oversight board meeting, we approved the recognized obligation payment schedule, also known as ROPES. On the 24th, Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting was dominated by 2 groups of public comments that took a significant amount of time. First was a group supporting increased compensation for county in-home care providers. The second group was concerned about increased crime in the county, including a large number of cases dismissed due to the lack of judges. That was followed by a tribute to the death of the deputy killed in the line of duty. On the 31st, Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting again. Public comments opposed to the closure of the Diamond Valley Lodge in Hemet. I thought that was interesting because it's a combination, and I never heard of this place before. Diamond Valley Lodge is a combination golf course and tiger sanctuary. What a combination, huh? Anyway, they apparently closed it, and there was a lot of people very upset about that. On the 12th, Coachella Valley Association of Governments had their Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, of which I'm a member. The meeting, after the meeting in La Quinta, we took a tour of conservation land, including the marshland located between the Salton Sea and all the way to La Quinta, and all of the lands in between that are part of the Conservation Commission. On items that I was not compensated for, on the 14th, Food Now Chili Cook-Off. It was a very nice attend, and I always enjoy supporting Food Now. On the 17th, Desert Hot Springs City Council meeting. I honored the former Mission Springs Water District Board member, Nancy Wright. There was installation of newly re-elected council members, Jan Pye and Carrie Gardner. And there was a selection of Mayor Pro Tem Councilman Roger Nunez appointments, and also appointments to various city commissions. On the 19th, Desert Valley Builders Association Network Night at La Quinta, relatively small turnout there. On the 23rd, Cabot's Museum Foundation meeting. covering the budget, approved the budget from July through December 2022. And the museum is in quite good shape financially. And that concludes my report. So we'll move on to general manager's report. Anything further?
Nothing new to report except for Arturo will present his
Financial report?
financial report.
Okay, Arturo?
Yes, thank you, General Manager Wallum and President Martin and members of the board. Can you see the screen of the July 1 through January 31, 2023 financials?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll quickly just go over the information here. Compared year to date, we're trending upwards in terms of net operating income by $3.3 million and non-operating by 1.9. We're still ahead of budget based on our estimates from when we prepared the budget in June. And for a total of $5.3 million ahead. And if you divide that by the 6 months, it's about $880,000 that we're adding an additional cash to our cash balances. And keep that in mind when I go to the next screen here shortly. Compared to last year, we're behind a little bit. And it's primarily timing of receipts of some of the funds and also the expenses, including some of the property tax collections for this year. That puts us at currently $57 million in total cash after the $15 million was received, and also $4 million from the county for various payments, including sewer charges and delinquent fees, and also the property taxes. And here's the breakdown in terms of where that cash is stored with Wells Fargo and CalTrust for that $57 million. I wanted to show you this spreadsheet that basically gives the snapshot of what we've been using for the last year to estimate what cash we were going to need as of January and the rest of the year. As you can see, this is covering the regional plant costs, including the conveyance line that we're scheduled to start in January, ramping up in February, all the way to June. But total cash expected to go out in December was $2.5 million. 4.3 in January. February, that jumps to 6.5. In March, that's $9 million. April, $8.6 million. May, $8.9 million. And in June, $9.2 million. That's the reason why we went out for the line of credit, or I'm sorry, the loan to carry us through, because as you can see, as of February, we were going to be in the negative in terms of what we expected cash to be at. We estimated net revenues or cash additions every month at $450,000. And like I just said, we're currently at $880,000, giving us a little bit of leeway that we haven't needed to use those funds immediately. But we're going to start here in April and May when we reach those, almost $10 million payments a month that you're going to see on the register of demands here in the next 2 months. You saw the first large number here today, but they're going to start ramping up. So this is what we use to estimate what cash needs we were going to have for the entire fiscal year and following years. And hopefully that answers a lot of the questions that come up here in the last couple of board meetings, because we also have a lot of those items that you voted on today for the well rehab, reconstruction, electrical, well 24, 42, 22 rehab that we're also including in these payments, and the need to increase some of those budgets that you saw earlier. And that's all I have to report in terms of the financials of the district as of January 31st.
Okay. Director Duff.
Thank you. I actually didn't see these provided in our booklet. Would you be able to forward these by email so that I have the ability to better digest them?
Of course.
Thank
Yes.
you. And then I did have one question that I think you can answer from the general report. I'm sorry, while I get to it. The cash disbursements for the month of January that we had reviewed just a little bit ago and approved. There was two high ones, obviously the construction, but the second was the State Water Resources Control Board for $302,000. Could you please tell us what that was for?
I will refer that to Danny Friend, who's been working on that payment to the regional board. And I believe it's basically the normal payments that we make, but I'll let him answer because he's been doing that directly himself. Danny,
I'm sorry, thank you.
thank you.
I'm sorry, I was actually doing something else. What was the question?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead, Director Duff.
I was just going to say in the general manager's report, when it was talking about cash disbursements in January, it mentioned that the second largest payout was to the State Water Resources Control Board for $302,000. I was just wondering if you could let us know what that's for.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm sorry, I'll have to refer back to the general manager's report. What section of the GM report was that in?
Page 8 or yeah. Page 8 of the report under cash. And there's two numbers on here, page 8 and page 84. I don't know which is easier for you to locate. The report starts on 75, I think.
GM report.
Director Duff,
Yeah.
can you?
Go ahead, Danny.
I said, Director Duff, would you be able to give me the page numbers again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, either the small blue outside of the box number is 8, and then the boxed number at the bottom right-hand corner is 84.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the regional board, the only thing I can think of is those annual fees for the permits that we pay for our 3 water systems for that large of an amount.
It's the only thing I can think of that it would be.
I can. That's why I was asking. That's why I wanted to take a look at it. I don't know. I can tell you right now, our fees did go up. We were made aware of it, but they didn't go up to $320,000. I will have to come back. I'm sorry, $302,000.
Yeah.
I will have to come back to that. And this is a cash disbursement that was in January, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let me get hopefully before the end of this meeting, I can come back to that.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry it caught you off guard. I thought that Arturo might be able to answer that question. So apologize.
No, my apologies. I was taking care of a payroll issue and I wasn't focused. My apologies.
No worries. Thank you. That's all the questions that I have for Arturo's presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director Griffith? No. Director Meyerhoff?
We're on commissioner comments right now, correct?
No, we're on the finance
Oh, no.
presentation. Nothing? Okay. Vice President Sewell?
And yes, Arturo, I just had one, I guess, clarification. Those numbers on the spreadsheet you shared look a little scary. That's why we did the line of credit. But those don't take into account our short and medium term CalTrust numbers.
They don't. And we've been looking at these for almost 1.5 years, 2 years now, which is why we wanted to start, be ready with those funds to ensure we were going to meet those demands that construction of the regional plant is going to start ramping up. But yeah, that's what it is.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I have nothing further. Anything further on the financial report, Arturo?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Arden?
Nothing, no.
Okay, all right. And Moving on to the second part of the general manager's report, the public affairs report. Do we have anything further on that?
Don't think we do. Did you have anything, Marion, that you wanted to add?
No, I have nothing to add, but thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 18, district council comments. Counselor?
Nothing, thank you.
Director's comments. I'll start to my right here, Director Meyerhoffen.
There's a rumor going around that I'm difficult to work with, and what's so funny over there? Huh? I was listening to myself tonight. There might be some truth to it.
Actually, it was pretty informative questions and stuff.
Thank you.
No, neither.
Is my understanding that we won't be compensated for the tour of the sewer treatment plants? Is that what I'm hearing correctly? Or we will be compensated for it?
I believe it's according to the agenda. We are.
We are?
Is it on there? On the calendar, I mean, on the calendar that Dory puts out?
Well, either way, I'll be there.
Not yet on the calendar.
It's what?
It's not yet on the calendar.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought it
But
was.
if it's on the calendar, then you get paid? Is that
She just said it's not. So,
okay?
I thought I saw the date's the 7th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I saw on the calendar, but we're not sure yet if we're going to be compensated or not. But either way, I'll be there. On the 3 commissions I served on, I never took the siphons, and because it was so close to home. But here again, you know, I'm not going to go to some of these, well, like the leadership one. I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps. And I just did a college accredited course for leadership. Now this may be some different type of leadership, but when we come right down to it, there's only 2 people here that can put anything on the agenda. My leadership for the city, or I'm sorry, for the staff members here at the Water District is to get along with them and treat each other respectfully and ask for information. So I'm not their leader. Good leadership is working together as a team. And if that's not happening, then there's something wrong with the leadership. So basically, that's where I'm at with all this leadership. And here again, I'm really, there's a lot to learn here. And there's a lot of time being put into all this. And I really want to concentrate on the agenda items. And anything that comes up with the agenda, I'm researching it. And that's why I get a little upset when we don't get the full agenda items, because by the time I come in, there's something extra. I've already pretty well made up my mind of where I'm heading with it.
okay.
I would like to say, you know, thank you for everybody's patience with me. And I think the staff and everybody's been, you know, really wonderful. And I hope you guys have a great time there at your conferences and stuff. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have learned and come when you come back. And in the following year, I'll be there for it. So thank you. That's all.
Okay. Vice President Sewell.
Yeah, I had one comment in relation to what Director Meyerhoffen mentioned earlier about compensation. I know last year we did our class comp where we reviewed our entire staff's compensation and positions and things of that sort. And I do believe that the board compensation numbers were also included, but we never discussed that as a possibility. So I think maybe an item in the future could be board compensation, to just have a discussion and review those numbers and really see where we stack up compared to other agencies. And then a friendly reminder, tomorrow is the blood drive here at Mission Springs. I know they have appointment slots, but I'm sure if you came in, we could squeeze you in. So thank you.
Okay.
Suck it out of me.
Director Duff.
I had a couple questions that were remaining for the general manager's report that I didn't get in time. So I'll email the general manager with those questions, and I'll CC the board so that you can see. I just wanted some clarification on a couple issues. And then I too want to thank the staff for their patience working with the new board members. It's been a long time since you've had new blood, so to speak, and it does take some time for us to learn the processes, and I think it takes staff a little bit of time also to learn what we need in order to best serve the community and serve you. So again, I want to appreciate everything, and I just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Director Griffith.
I would like to kind of echo Director Duff's remarks regarding things that newer members need. When you have a board that's been together for a while, they may not need to see the details that the newer people do, so they get a better understanding of how you arrive at these decisions in terms of, and I did ask on Thursday for a breakdown for these change orders and things like that. And I want to thank the staff for doing that. I also want to explain to them that we don't do that just to be a pain. It's just that in order for us to make a thorough decision, especially for someone like me, who anyone who has worked with me understands, I dig deep and I read this stuff. And so I like the details. And so I think that's one of the things that we're finding, is that some of us work a little differently. And so the more supporting documentation we have, the better it is for everybody. That way, when we come in here, we're fully informed and we don't maybe have as many questions. And thank you, staff, for doing that. I really appreciate it. And I will see some of you at the Urban Water Institute conference this week, and I look forward to that, and the CSDA Leadership Conference next week. And I'll end at that. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I want to echo some of the things that were said here, and just to make a suggestion pertaining mostly to our new board members, is there was a list, an affiliations list that had a number of different functions, agencies, and things like that on there. And my recommendation is, even if you don't think it's applicable or you think it might not be important, is to initially go to every one that you can go to, that you can do personally, to go to these meetings and make a determination after you attend. Don't prejudge the conferences as to the relative value. You might be surprised. And don't limit yourself to only ones that are within our jurisdiction. Otherwise, you won't be going to too many too many meetings. So
Yeah, that's exact.
so anyway, that's all I have. And anything further from the general manager?
Nothing further from me.
Okay, with that.
Excuse me, before you conclude the meeting, I do have an answer for Director Duff.
Oh, great.
I do apologize. It's so standard that we do these payments that it just escaped my mind. This is the SRF loan payment that we have to make once a year, January 31st, for Area F of the assessment districts. It was covered by half grant, half low interest loan to the state, and this is our annual payment to them for $302,000 that we have to make every year.
Does that answer your question, Director Duff?
Is it for one particular thing, or is it just MSWD as a whole has to pay that loan? Or is it for a previous project? Is it for like the Horton project? What?
It's for it's for Area F of the assessment districts. So when we connected all of these homes to our system, half of that, so all of it is getting paid by assessment districts, but then we went out to get the funding, which was half of it a grant and half of it a loan, which is normally how we do the assessment districts. And that's just the normal annual payment.
Now I understand. Thank you very much for the clarification.
So then it's not coming from the rates, it's coming from the assessment district. Is that right, Arturo?
Correct.
Anything further? Okay, with that, the meeting is adjourned.
I'm glad we got that answer.